Okay, we're back out here in the Daybreak Garden. We are done talking about the Daybreak Garden, and we're still going to be talking about what's growing this season.
Yeah, and what's going on in the landscape,
Yeah.
or things that you should be doing. One of the things, I try to bring plants that, when they show their best feature. So today I brought us a burning bush, which
is popular with us.
Yeah, last year you thought it was on fire.
Yeah.
But actually,
because last year we still had a drought, and we also had like that burn ban in place. And when you mentioned burning bush, I thought, oh, plant on fire.
Yeah, plant on fire. But you can see it has a nice, brilliant red foliage in the fall. It is a nice. It can be even though this is what we call a dwarf or compact, it does get 6 feet tall, 6 feet across. It makes a nice hedge, but its main attribute is in the fall, it's nice red fall color.
Yeah, no, it has beautiful reds, like again, burning like a fire.
Yeah.
It does look great. And what else are you holding in your hands right now?
Well, everybody in the spring always says, boy, I want some of those daffodils or tulips or hyacinths, and actually, even though it's fall, now's the time to start thinking about spring. These are bulbs that have to go through a cold period, so you need to plant those now. And because bulbs, rule of thumb, you're not going to buy the bulbs in the spring.
Yes.
So you can plant these bulbs now until the end of December, and they'll be ready for spring.
Now, when it comes to planting those bulbs, how deep in the ground should they go?
Generally on the back of these, they'll tell you, but rule of thumb, depending on the type of bulb, obviously crocus bulbs are very small, so it's shallow. But hyacinths and daffodils, you're talking, around 4 to 6 inches deep.
Yeah.
And you want to, if you don't know which way to plant them, always do the pointy side up.
Okay.
And if you don't, plant them sideways and they'll still grow upright.
Yeah. And then we always talked about soil, like the hardness of soil and softness. Do they prefer harder soil or softer?
Actually, bulbs are pretty resilient to the type soils. The one thing that you need to be attentive to is that if you plant tulips, deer love tulips.
Okay.
And rabbits. So hyacinths and daffodils, you won't have that kind of problem. So pay attention to the flower bulbs where you're planting them, because you'll be so happy they come up with very little care, but if you have deer in your area, they'll be gone in one night.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing those tips. And I'll have to say, probably this weekend with the warm weather, probably a good idea to plant those daffodils now.
Well, no, temperature has no bearing. It's on the installer, if you're not dressed warm enough. But one thing, if you have outdoor flowers or house plants and you bring them in, you might want to start maybe this weekend when it's warm, bring those in, maybe acclimate them and bring them in the garage. And my main reason for that is you could have some insect problems you're not aware of because they've been outside all summer. So if you bring them inside right away, be on the lookout for any type of white flies or other type little creepy crawlies, because if it gets real warm inside, those are going to be very active. So pay attention to that. You might have to acclimate them and do a little spray. So be cautious when you're bringing in your stuff this coming week.
Okay, well, Dave, thank you for those helpful tips. Hopefully we'll see you again in a few weeks. There's still so much to talk about with gardening and landscaping, but we're going to have more on Daybreak right after the break.